AITA for telling my stepmother she's embarrassing herself? My father and my stepmother have been together for a little over a decade. I'll call her Nikki. She didn't move in with him until years after I had moved out, so I've never been close with her. I don't actually call her stepmother. To be honest, Nikki annoys me. She is childish and naive in ways that often feel forced. She'll speak in a high-pitched voice and replace random words with the baby version of them, think boo-boo and wee-wee. I'm always nice to her, of course, but I don't like being around her for long. I didn't dislike her at first, but when my kids, 6M and 3F, were born, Nikki's antics almost immediately went up to 11. Whenever she's around them, she acts either younger or the same age as them. I can never tell whether she's trying to get their attention or my father's, but it's gotten to the point that my husband and I try to minimize contact between her and our children. My daughter's 3rd birthday party took place about a week ago, and both my dad and Nikki came. At one point, I noticed that rather than take a seat at the tables like the other adults, Nikki was walking around talking to the kids. It was odd, but no one seemed bothered, so I didn't do anything about it. Half an hour later, my 5-year-old goddaughter came up to me and asked why there was a lady talking like a baby. She told me she was scary, and that she didn't want to play with the other kids while she was around. I went up to Nikki and suggested that she sit down. I explained that the kids wanted to play by themselves, and that having an adult around like that would bother them. She seemed fine with it. Some time later, my daughter ran to me crying. She said Nikki wasn't letting her play with her friends. At that, my husband and I pulled Nikki aside. From what I gathered, the girls were trying to play princesses and she was trying to dictate who everyone should be. We told Nikki, once again, to take a seat and leave the kids alone. She tried to argue with us, saying she was only trying to make sure they were having fun. I replied, they aren't. You're not a child, they don't want to play with you. I know you mean well, but you're embarrassing yourself, so please sit down and stop bothering them. She stood there for a few seconds before she took a seat next to my father. The party continued without issue. I later found out that at least 3 of the other kids had also complained to their parents, but they didn't tell me. One of them figured Nikki was an entertainer I'd hired. A couple days later, my father called and told me off for how I'd treated his wife. He says that Nikki is heartbroken, and that I was extremely rude when she just wanted to play with the kids. I reminded him that the children didn't want to be around her, but he's still insisting I apologize. My husband told me that someone had to do something, as the kids were upset. I feel like this is a dumb issue, but I can't help but feel like I might have acted rudely. AITA?